Good morning. Let's continue our lesson, Benny and the Sea Monster. Before we continue, let's remember, what does it mean, realistic fiction? A realistic fiction is a made-up story about something that could happen in real life to real people. The skills of this lesson: describing story structure. Now I want you to think about the story structure. We remember that a story has beginning, end, middle, and end. These three parts are the plot. And as we met in our story, we have the characters, the setting, and the problem to be solved. Before I continue, I want you to think about the characters of Benny and the Sea Monster. Also, you could recall the setting and the problem that our character had. Now let's move on. We remember that the setting was a special beach where the characters go and discover or explore tide pools. As you see in this picture, a tide pool is a body of water that gets filled only at night. So different creatures of sea animals or marines come and get stuck in these pools. We remember that our characters were Uncle Tay, Benny, and Jada. Also, the setting was at dawn at a special beach. The problem was Benny was not sure he was in the mood for tide pools. Keep in your mind that the setting, the characters, and the problem are found in the beginning of the story. Now let's move on to the middle of the story, where we could see what happened after they went to the pool. I'm going to continue reading paragraph 4. Benny's cousin Jada had told him all about tide pools. I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. So, Benny's cousin Jada had told him all about tide pools. They sounded awful. They were full of strange-looking, slimy sea creatures. Benny did not like anything slimy. He hated worms and slugs and snails. At high tide, the ocean water came far up the beach. It covered most of the sand, leaving only a tiny part dry. Then low tide came. The waters pulled back, leaving the beach wet. Low tide also left tide pools. These were like small puddles filled with living sea creatures. Water worms? Crabs and clams? Jada shouted as they walked toward the tide pool. Horrible, slimy sea monsters! Be careful! They will crawl on you and stick to your skin. Jada laughed. Benny knew she was teasing him and trying to worry him. She was older, and Uncle Tay had taught her all about sea animals. Jada was not scared of water worms, whatever those were. Awful means very bad. Creatures, as we know, animals or living things. As you see in the picture on the right side, slimy. And we know these slimy things that we all like to play with. slug. And here we have a question. What is Benny's problem? We remember his problem that he wasn't in the mood for the pools or tide pools. He was not sure he liked tide pools at all. Benny did not like anything slimy. He hated worms and slugs and snails. So this is the main problem for our character Benny. So we met the characters, the setting, the problem to be solved, and we know the plot. What happened at the beginning of the story? Let's remember. Benny, Jara, and Uncle Tay went to a special beach that has tide pools. Jara and Uncle Tay want to explore the tide pools. Benny doesn't like tide pools.